We start with Jeremy Fowler's yearly survey of executives, coaches, and scouts, which has delivered a few bombshells here. Top 10 QB list. Mahomes at number 1, but not unanimous. More on that in a second. Joe Burrow, Allen, Lamar, the reigning MVP, who I don't know is 60-23
Respect
all time.
my guy Matt Stafford's name. How about that? It's right where he was in the mountain, too.
Overrated.
Okay.
Who's saying that? Josh Frisky. Herbert, Stroud, Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown for
Interesting list.
Goff, and then finally Dak. So we'll start with Dak at 10. Here's his stats last year for being the 10th best quarterback in the league.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't see any 10s on there. So Dak too high, too low, or just right?
Brew, I truly don't know where you're going to stand on this. We never talked before the show, but we also haven't talked in 10 days. Bruce been.
You were on the island.
So I'm curious what you're going to say, but I think this is basically the exact right spot for Dak. Even if I might have a couple guys who were behind him ahead of him and a couple guys who were ahead of him behind him. You know what I mean? Like but I think 10th best quarterback in the league is almost exactly right, especially because it seems like rookies were ineligible for this list. So if you're really high on Caleb like me or Jaden or Drake or whomever.
I don't know if they're ineligible. I just don't know if anyone's putting Caleb top 10.
Well, no, I don't think I mean.
You want Drake May top 10?
No,
maybe?
I don't think any rookie has ever, when they've done this, gotten top 10 votes. So they're de facto ineligible.
Yeah.
So, and that's why this is such a tough spot for Dallas, bro. Because he's clearly not in there's the Mahomes tier, then there's that tier right beneath it, which I think we all kind of agree on mostly who's in that. Lamar is in it, Josh Allen's in it, Burrow's in it. And he's clearly also better than guys like Baker or Kirk post-Achilles, I think. I would say Tua in that, but I know we don't have to argue about it. He is somewhere in that meaty middle of good. And you love that quarterback on a rookie deal. You're fine with that quarterback on a good deal. And you're terrified of that quarterback on the highest, being the number 1 paid guy in the league, which is the spot Dallas finds themselves in. But as far as the actual pen-to-paper rankings, about 10 to me, Brew, is exactly right.
Yeah, I'm not mad at your analysis of that. I think there are a group of 7, 8 guys or so that are, any given year will go from 8 to 15 or whatever.
Correct.
Here are the 6 that are on that list behind Dak that you might want to argue. Someone might want to argue for. Tua, Jordan Love, Cousins, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, and Brock Purdy.
Yes.
And I'm going to kind of compare each one to Dak. Tua, just no. Just no. I'm not putting him ahead of Dak.
Just no.
I mean, first of all, okay, 1 healthy season in 4 years. And can't beat any good teams. 1-6 against playoff teams.
And then
God forbid a brisk win. A brisk win. It'll be a little bit chilly.
The wind is okay
and
with
you're done.
Chilly.
All right, so Tua's out.
Correct.
Jordan Love, only half a year of great production.
True.
All right, so let's just see a little more. I think, I will say this.
You like Love more than Dak. But you haven't seen it enough?
But I just want to see a little more.
That's fair.
Okay.
I think this year, Jordan will move ahead of Dak. So this season, at some point this season. Kirk Cousins, you said he's 36. He's coming off the Achilles. And he has a similar problem to Dak, but probably even worse.
Exactly
Just hasn't been able to win big games, but is even worse in primetime games. Jalen Hurts, 1 great year out of 4, though.
I thought you would have Jalen ahead of Dak.
Yeah, I mean,
you like Jalen more than you like Dak.
I get like he's only had 1 great season.
Yeah.
And you can say the first one he wasn't really a starter.
Yeah.
But 3 seasons he's had 1 great season.
He has to get penalized for the supernatural funk as well.
It wasn't really his fault though.
Well, he wasn't the solution to the supernatural
Well,
funk.
he will be this year. Watch.
Okay.
All right. So Jay, Trevor hasn't been great. Can we agree? Hasn't been great since college.
Trevor
so
doesn't
I'm not
deserve to be ahead of Dak.
Right. You can't put. I mean, really, he hasn't been great since college.
Much like Jalen Hurts, 1 great year.
Right.
Yes.
Then the one guy, Brock Purdy.
Oh, this guy.
And
we're
look,
going to do
we're
Brock
going to do a
Purdy.
whole Purdy thing. No, we're going to do a whole Purdy thing.
I got a lot of Purdy
I know,
stuff.
but Purdy is coming up.
I got a lot of Purdy stuff.
A3.
I got more. Look, here's the first thing.
No, do not show the Purdy graphics. What are we doing?
And I got more. Believe me, I'm not gonna exhaust the tank. All right, I got plenty. Purdy has proven to be able to do what Dak can't, which is play well in the playoffs.
I agree. That's why we should talk about it.
No, he's my guy. I am moving him to 10.
Okay.
Ahead
That's
of
the
Dak.
Brock Purdy
So
guy.
that's I got more when we get there, but I'm just giving you a little tease.
But to be,
he's just been better in the big game.
all right, that's fine. But to be clear, your answer to this is just right.
It's a group.
Right.
Can I make an argument for Dak?
Go ahead.
I
On
don't think-
behalf of Dak or
Yes.
against him?
Oh, no, pro Dak.
Okay, yeah.
And I will take my editorial leadership hat of Walking Boot Weekly off.
Walking boot. Okay, yeah, I forgot.
Because he was in a
Oh, yeah,
walking
that's
boot,
right.
and that always sends tremors
Hobble
through the
watch.
staff of
It was
Walking
nothing,
Boot.
though.
Well, he's in a walking boot.
Okay, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it was
Go ahead.
On front page news, Walking Boot Weekly. In any event, if I'm Dak Prescott, he's on the show. We had A-Rod on the show coming up,
Yeah.
and Dak Prescott here. He's like, "Hey guys, heard the segment? Did you see the full screen there where I completed the highest percentage of passes out of any quarterback, and I also threw the most touchdowns, so I was the most accurate, and I threw the most touchdowns. That seems to be better than 10th, statistically." And you're
then-
like, "What? You didn't produce in one game against in the Packers in the playoffs?" Like, I get it, but I was balling out all year.
Okay. So the
Why am I at 10?
And the answer to that would be, if you feel bad, imagine how Tua feels. Because Tua's got like it done.
Give
At
Tua a
least
call.
we are
Lament
if I
together.
may, we are all at least consistent on this. Wilds as well. Wilds thinks Brew and I are too hard on Tua. And I think he thinks Brew and I are. I don't even know if too hard on Dak. I don't think this is a knock on Dak. The only to me guy that all of us would have ahead of Dak, that I think Dak would have a real gripe that all three of us, or at least Brew and I, have ahead of, is Justin Herbert. I think he's the only one that Dak might
he
say,
hasn't
wait
done
a
it.
minute.
Right.
You're
holding it against me,
You're
why
holding it
not
against
him?
me. This guy's 0-1 in the playoffs.
That's right.
And has a meltdown, and that is like, yeah, it's the eye test thing, and sorry.
And
so,
his youth, that you expect him to
but
improve a little bit.
everyone else that we, not necessarily that is on the list ahead of him, but that we, all three of us, would unanimously say is ahead of him, has great regular season numbers and postseason success to go along with it on their resume.
Yeah. One asterisk. I would have Dak ahead of this guy.
Well, yeah, I would too.
Coming in at number
I think
8.
we all would.
Yeah.
A guy who hasn't thrown for 300 yards in 23 games, it's Aaron Rodgers. Now, here's the interesting part of the survey. Jeremy Fowler writing, while Rodgers appeared on fewer than 60% of the ballots, nearly half of those ballots placed Rodgers in the top 5. So small but passionate. Quarterback purists still love him. Does Rodgers deserve to be at number 8, Brew?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, they're just giving him respect for a great career and hoping he can do it again. But based on the last time we saw him, you can't have him in the top. And based on his age, being 40, and he's coming off the Achilles injury.
When you say the last time we saw him, you don't mean the Jets.
Not the Jets, right. I mean,
Exactly.
that was done.
2022, we have
2022, here we go.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
was
that's good.
this is since he's become a starter in the league, which is the last 13 seasons. His last year in Green Bay, worst yards per game, worst passer rating, and second worst in all these other things: TDs, interceptions, yards per attempt. So he appears to be on the decline. And I know a lot of people say, well, he appeared to be on the decline 5 years ago and came back with 2 MVP seasons, but he's now 40, coming off a serious injury.
And if I can add to it, I think we all had a similar version of that graphic. I want to show mine, which is instead of where it ranked for his career, where it ranked in the league. So no one has adequately explained to me how, let's just all pretend the Achilles injury didn't happen. Why would you expect a 40-year-old to be better with Bob Saleh and Nat Hackett a 2 year from the previous year where he played full-time when he was below average?
They're going to claim that thumb injury. Remember, it was kind of like that mysterious
No,
thumb.
I get it, but that same year,
He didn't really even use that as an
and also, by the end, here's the problem with the thumb injury part of it. Because there's two things. People say thumb injury, and the other thing, people will be like, oh, actually, the thing was this crazy thing. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He was not motivated. He actually didn't care, just wanted the money, but now he cares again. Do we think the thumb was as healthy as it was for months the final game of the year? Yes, because they were on that winning streak. Do we think in that final game of the regular season, at home against a divisional rival, he was peak motivated? Yes.
Yep.
How did that game end? The way so many of the most recent big games from Aaron have ended, with this just prayer ball, no reason, plenty of time, down 4, opportunity. Again, if you don't remember the context, that was Sunday Night Football because it was winning you're in for them. In that game, he threw for 200 yards, had 1 touchdown, that pick, an 83 rating, was 17 of 27. You can't convince me that that player is now all of a sudden great. He once was great. And then when you add to it, oh yeah, and what happened in the meantime? He tore his Achilles tendon. How that guy is considered, by, as you put, a lot of these guys, a top 5 quarterback is wish casting.
Well, he has to prove it. At the very least, it's like, you got to go out and prove it. We're not going to assume you're going to be the old great Aaron Rodgers until we see it again.
Yeah. Are you talking about we, us, or you too? Because all I hear for you is
football America.
Okay, because I don't know where you're at.
You don't know where I'm going when it comes to my picks. But for now, he's got to prove it.
Okay.
I don't see, with the Jets, quickly, he doesn't necessarily have to be a top 10 quarterback. They had a pretty good team, 7 wins, with the worst quarterback play in America. You like to deny it, but it's true. So if he's just pretty good.
Just 3 wins. You only have to be 3 wins better than Zach Wilson and everybody else.
Shout out Ty Butler, who does radio on ESPN Radio in New York, texted me, said, man, when the Jets trade for Devon